news here on CNN Philippines. I'm Ina Andolong. 20 people are confirmed dead due to Tropical Depression Usman in the Bicol region. 4 bodies were recovered in Tiwi, Albay, 3 from Legazpi City, 4 from Sorsogon, 2 from Camarines Sur, and 7 from Masbate. Regional authorities say the death toll could still rise. 3 families are still unaccounted for in a landslide in Tiwi. Search and retrieval operations will resume this morning. Meanwhile, some areas in the province of Camarines Sur are still flooded due to heavy rains brought by Usman. Usman weakened into a low-pressure area yesterday morning after making landfall in Borongan, Eastern Samar. Vice President Leni Robredo led the wreath-laying ceremony at the Rizal Monument in Luneta Park this morning. The ceremony is in commemoration of the 122nd death anniversary of the country's national hero, Jose Rizal. In a statement, Robredo says, and we quote, "May we find the courage and serenity to work for Rizal's vision of a Philippines free from hate, division, and tyranny, and where the dignity of every Filipino is upheld." President Duterte, meanwhile, will lead the commemoration of Rizal Day at the Rizal Park in Davao City this afternoon. President Rodrigo Duterte distributed certificates of land ownership award to more than 6,400 agrarian reform beneficiaries in North Cotabato last night. Mr. Duterte also assured farmers that the government will continue the land reform program as fast as it can. During his speech, the president also hit the New People's Army for urging farmers to rise up against the government. The president believes as long as there's no land reform, armed conflict will never end. Meanwhile, agrarian officials say the distribution of land certificates aims to improve the lives of local farmers as part of the government's advocacy. The distribution in North Cotabato covers more than 11 hectares of land. This is the largest land holding ever given to beneficiaries in the history of the country's agrarian reform program. Some areas in the province of Camarines Sur are still flooded due to heavy rains brought by Tropical Depression Usman. Office of Civil Defense Bicol Regional Director Claudio Yuko tells CNN Philippines rescue operations are ongoing.
Meron kaming pinadala ngayon na rescue operations. PNP, Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Bureau of Fire nandoon sa area ngayon ng Kamsur kasi medyo nagrabihan sila sa baha. Ang apektado ngayon is yung Labwa, Buhi, Iriga, Baaw, yun yung mga areas na apektado.
Usman weakened into a low-pressure area yesterday morning after making landfall in Borongan, Eastern Samar. 20 people are confirmed dead due to Tropical Depression Usman in the Bicol region. 4 bodies were recovered in Tiwi, Albay, 3 from Legazpi City, 4 from Sorsogon, 2 from Camarines Sur, and 7 from Masbate. Regional authorities say the death toll could still rise. 3 families are still unaccounted for in a landslide in Tiwi. The ACT Teachers Party List reacts to President Duterte's story confessing to a priest about a sexual situation involving a house help. Representative Franz Castro says the President's act was, quote, really disgusting, uncalled for. Castro calls out the president for sharing the story amid the calamities the country is experiencing. The lawmaker also says the president should just focus on helping the residents affected by Tropical Depression Usman. In his speech at an event in Kidapawan City yesterday, Duterte narrated in detail his experience with the priest he confessed inappropriately touching their house help. Here's the president in his own words.
Ganon man yan. Kayo, ayaw lang hindi ninyo masabi dito. Ako wala man ako masabi. Media. Totoo man. It's true. Lahat man mga bata dumaan kaya haba ng kumita ka, hinahawakan ka naman.
This, the president said, is why he doesn't like the church and its abuses. CNN Philippines has been asking presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo for a reaction or any further clarification on the president's statement. We have not yet received a reply. President Rodrigo Duterte is stepping up on his tirades against the church. In a speech in Kidapawan City yesterday, the president said he will continue to attack priests if the church does not correct itself. He warned priests against using God and religion to criticize him. President Duterte called them out again for molesting young boys, including himself. He shared his experience being touched by a priest while he was in confession as a young man. The president also mocked Jesus for letting himself be crucified. Here's the president in his own words.
Paano ka maka-concentrate na yung Diyos mo pinako sa krus? Nakakawala ng bilib. Ako ang Diyos tapos ipako mo ako?
He then went on to say that the Holy Trinity is, quote, silly. He says there is only one God and you cannot divide him into three. From the Bible to the concept of hell, the president did not run out of things to say against the church.
Ano sabihin mo, hell? Why would God create you and throw you to the fires? Lahat ng countries na hinawakan ng religious, hindi talaga umangat. Lahat na, basta makialam yung reliyon. Basta reliyon, papasok sa buhay ng civilian, wala na.
President Duterte says we should embody the patriotism of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. He issued a written message to commemorate the 122nd anniversary of Rizal's martyrdom. Rizal was convicted for sedition and executed by firing squad in Bagong Bayan, or present-day Luneta Park, on December 30, 1896. The president said Rizal's courageous life and inspiring works have been instrumental in awakening our collective consciousness. He says this fostered our identity and urged Filipinos to take a stand against oppressors. He also said that Rizal's example continues to encourage us as we pursue ways to address the social ills that confront us. Representing the president, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio led the wreath-laying ceremony in Davao City this afternoon. The ACT Teachers Party List reacts to President Duterte's story supposedly confessing to a priest about a sexual situation involving a house help. Representative Franz Castro says the president's act was, quote, really disgusting, uncalled for. Castro calls out the president for sharing the story amid the calamities the country is experiencing. The lawmaker also says the president should just focus on helping the residents affected by Tropical Depression Usman. In his speech at an event in Kidapawan City yesterday, President Duterte narrated to a priest in detail a sexual act with a helper. Here's the president in his own words.
Ganon man yan. Kayo, ayaw lang ninyong hindi niyo masabi dito. Ako wala man ako sabi. Media. Totoo man. It's true. Lahat man mga bata dumaan ng haba ng kumita ka, hinahawakan ka naman.
Malacanang comes to President Duterte's defense. Presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo says Mr. Duterte made up an anecdote to dramatize how he and his fellow students were sexually abused when they were in high school. He adds, and we quote, he purposely added and spliced the story with vulgarity to characterize the behavior of the priest who insisted to hear more sins during their confessions when there were none. Panelo says it was a concocted story. Panelo ends his statement by saying the president will not change his political signature, which has endeared him to the masses. 45 are confirmed dead at Bicol after Tropical Depression Usman caused floods and landslides in the region. Albay-based journalist Rosas Olarte joins us on the line. Rosas, what's the latest there?
Yes, as of 5 o'clock this afternoon, 45 people are confirmed dead after Tropical Depression Usman wreaked havoc in the Bicol region. The Office of Civil Defense here is still in the process of confirming the number of casualties. Its Bicol Regional Director, retired Colonel Claudio Yucot, says the province of Camarines Sur has 16 deaths, 13 died in Albay due to landslides, 6 died in Sorsogon, 3 in Camarines Norte, and 7 in Masbate. Yucot says this number is expected to increase as reports are still coming in. The protocol needs confirmation of the management of the dead and the missing, or the MDM, headed by Department of the Interior and local government if death is typhoon related. You could say some of the areas in Camarines Sur are still submerged in floodwaters and people are still in their homes. Authorities have activated land and sea response units to rescue people. Their search and retrieval operations are also non-stop to look for possible survivors in landslide areas. You could say more than 1,400 families or at least 6,000 individuals evacuated across the Bicol region. He says they did not implement preemptive evacuation as people wanted to stay together on New Year's Eve. Meanwhile, Albay Governor Al Francis Bicharas already requested the Sangguniang Panalawigan of Albay to enact a resolution declaring Albay be placed under state of calamity. Back to you, Ina.
Thank you. That was Rosas Olarte reporting from Albay. The death toll in eastern Visayas due to Usman climbs to 9. 4 died in Lope de Vega, northern Samar, 2 in Paranas, Samar, and 3 deaths in Calbayog City due to drowning. According to the Office of Civil Defense Eastern Visayas, there are 6 municipalities that were directly affected with more than 800 families or more than 2,200 individuals affected. This is aside from almost 5,400 families or 19,200 individuals who were displaced due to preemptive evacuation. President Rodrigo Duterte distributed more than 6,000 certificates of land ownership award to agrarian reform beneficiaries in North Cotabato last night. Mr. Duterte also assured farmers that the government will continue the land reform program as fast as it can. During his speech, the president also hit the New People's Army for urging farmers to rise up against the government. The president believes as long as there's no land reform, armed conflict will never end. Meanwhile, agrarian officials say the distribution of land certificates aims to improve the lives of local farmers as part of the government's advocacy. The distribution in North Cotabato covers more than 11 hectares of land. Officials say this is the largest land holding ever given to beneficiaries in the history of the country's agrarian reform program. Good news now for motorists planning to use tollways to and from south of Metro Manila tomorrow, New Year's Eve. You may pass through the NAIA Expressway, the Skyway System, South Luzon Expressway, and Star Tollway for free from 10 p.m. tomorrow until 6 a.m. of January 1st. Since it's a long weekend, SMC Tollways is deploying more ambulant toll collectors at these expressways. Motorist assistants and traffic patrollers will also be on standby and on watch 24/7. Don't forget to load up your ETC or RFID passes for faster travel. Transport officials vowed to prioritize security enhancement at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport after the U.S. Department of Homeland Security issued a travel advisory saying they don't meet international standards. As officials work on improving airport security, the Defense Department is allaying fears that the main international gateway, as it is right now, is vulnerable to terrorist attacks.
Siguro hindi naman yun ang kanilang tinutukoy. I think it's the way that the management of the airport, the way passengers are being screened, and all those things, yung mga equipment natin, if they are not adequate.
But those measures mentioned by the Defense Secretary are, among others, intended to guard against terrorists. If they're not up to par, then the airport could be an easy target by those out to sow fear.
Terroristic activities, although possible, but I think the airport and all our security forces there are on alert about all these possibilities.
Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says some countries have warned of terrorist attacks during the holiday season, but he stresses the Philippines is not among the supposed targets.
There has been this advisory from other countries also that there could be attacks in some parts of the world during the holiday season. And we are taking those advisory seriously. But not here. Ang tawag nila is airports in other countries.
But considering that the Philippines is not new to bombings, Lorenzana says the police and military are on alert, especially in highly populated urban centers. The Defense Department also warns of heightened extortion activities by local terrorists. The New People's Army, which the Secretary says will try to influence elections in areas considered their strongholds. These include Bicol, Samar, and the Negros provinces.
They will try to control the candidates from going around. Kung wala silang mga tinatawag na permit to campaign, hindi nila papuntahan. And also, they will prevent the people from choosing properly their candidates.
President Duterte earlier issued a memorandum circular ordering the deployment of additional troops in these areas to suppress lawless violence.